Hey guys, Wayne here. Today I want to talk a little bit about flying monkeys. This question has come up recently from one of the viewers, and I want to take a few moments to talk about what flying monkeys are and some approaches to deal with it when you have that problem, which most of us are going to have that problem. It's a very common technique that the narcissist uses to further get supply and to cause us additional problems and grief. So, all right, so the term, when I first heard the term flying monkeys, it kind of confused me because I'm like, what? It didn't make any sense. And then when you take a step back and you look at the reference, and I don't know who coined the term. I probably should have looked it up before I started, so I apologize for that. But a flying monkey is a reference to the Wizard of Oz, and when the Wicked Witch of the West or East or whatever the heck it is, whenever she gets angry and she sends all her flying monkeys out to mess with Dorothy and her merry group of cohorts. So that's where the term comes from. It's right. You have the central person. So the witch in this case is your ex, and then they are riling up these flying monkeys to send out to attack you, to distract you, and to undermine what you're trying to do. Now, flying monkeys can be, they can be active. They can take a bunch of different forms, right? They can be family. They could be. Well, let me back up. They can be somebody who actually knows what's going on, and typically they don't really. But bottom line, what they've done is they are centrally connected to your ex. They're providing a significant amount of supply from your ex. They're probably getting validation, or they're getting something out of it too, either just being around the person or getting attention. And as a result of that, your ex is able to interact with these people, get them, spin them up with a smear campaign, and then they end up being surrogates or extra mouthpieces for your ex, right? So those people are then going around and also saying stuff about you. They're either saying it directly to you, or they're further undermining your image isn't the right word, maybe your character, where they're going out and saying continual stuff like, oh, did you know that Betty she does this and that to their kids, or Bill's a deadbeat dad, or all those different things. And the hard part about it is sometimes those flying monkeys are people that you used to know, that you used to consider friends. So you have this double betrayal going on. You have the betrayal from your ex, where they do something, they're doing what they're doing, and you're dealing with that, and you're kind of at a loss because that's blowing you away. And then the bad part is while you're sitting there, while you are dealing with that, then you have these other people who could be your close friends, or these could be people that you really trusted. They could even be family, and you think, okay, well, these people, will either be neutral or loyal to you, and they start taking up the cause of your ex. And either, like I said, it's either you hear about it indirectly, where you find out from some other mutual friend that is telling you that your other mutual friend is saying these things about you, are spreading these stories, are these half-truths, basically continuing the smear campaign. Or it's directly they're coming to you and then they're berating you for what you're doing. It's like, well, what you're doing is wrong, or they're basically taking that message from the ex and they're using it against you. Okay, so the real question is how do you deal with it, right? Because I think part of the problem with this is, just as soon as you're wrapping your head around one thing, then something else happens, and then you're trying to deal with that. To be perfectly honest, the technique, in my opinion, is very similar to how you deal with your ex. And what I mean by that is you don't engage with them. You basically gray rock or no contact with those people as well. Now the only difference is, typically I would say is just focus on your actions instead of your words. I think you do have some ability with a flying monkey or a surrogate to have a conversation with them, and if they say, well, you do X, whatever X happens to be, and if you can say, well, wait a minute, okay, so you're saying I do this, but this is my story, this is what, this is the reality of it, you have an opportunity or a possibility of being able to break through to demonstrate to that person what the reality is and potentially, turn them back to your favor, or at the least get to the point that they're neutral. What I would tell you though is if you have somebody who has been a flying monkey or a surrogate, I would recommend that you keep those people. If they do come back in, don't ever, tell them everything. Play your cards close to the chest, because if they've already demonstrated that they have a willingness to, basically be a go-between between the two of you guys, giving them any additional information, it doesn't necessarily help you. Now, if you're wanting to get information and you're wanting it to actually get to your ex, well, that's a different story. But even that gets into a game that's not really serves a purpose. Well, that's not entirely true. I think in the beginning maybe it does serve a purpose because you're trying to defend yourself, and at the time you're still trying to grapple with what's going on, and defending yourself does play a part in all this. And then at some point you just get to the point where you realize it doesn't really matter. These people don't really have a bearing on your life, and you can just let it go. Now, one caveat I have said before is whenever, either with what your ex is doing or even with what surrogates are doing, if it is directly impacting your ability to make money, your job, it's really having a real impact, then you need to address it. And that's a different story. And honestly I had to deal with that at work. I had a person who worked for, didn't work directly for me, worked for a boss who worked for me, who tried to drag, when he got in trouble, he tried to drag the fact that I was a couple of chains up in his food chain, that I was orchestrating everything around him because of all these bad things that I had done to my ex. Now, and in that situation, that is directly impacting my job, right? So I did have to do some stuff to try to protect myself. But honestly, guys, the main thing on that, and that's kind of what I was saying before on how to deal with it, there's really not a whole hell of a lot you can do. And as soon as you start trying to fight it point by point, because it's a personal thing, you immediately start losing credibility because, people, they don't know who to believe. You're absolutely better served to allow the person to self-destruct on their own. The same thing like your ex. And that's kind of what I get at, right? So what I mean is if you have somebody, a surrogate or a flying monkey, who's attacking your character, instead of directly attacking them, if you can just, through your own actions, not words, a combination of actions and words basically validating that what you're doing, basically doing the right thing, not doing the wrong thing, that, I think that's the most effective way to do it, right? Because then you can demonstrate that you're not stooping to that level, you're not getting into the muck with them, and they will inevitably they'll self-destruct on their own. Now the problem is all of this takes time. It's not a quick process. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to basically keep taking it on the chin to get through it, right? The sad part is it's kind of counterintuitive, right? And what I mean by that is you would think that whenever you're being attacked, you want to attack back to stop it, to repel the attack and make that problem go away. The reality of this situation is that it actually makes it longer. When you get into those attacks with those people, it draws you into that battle, and you basically you basically get stuck in this circular do loop to where you're not really making any progress. Whereas if you're able to take a step back, let them flame out on themselves, I'll use flame out because I'm near an airport, it actually works out better, and it shortens the time, because you just sit back, you take these hits that are coming, you try to, if it directly comes at you, you can say, well, wait a minute, they say I don't, whatever. I use an example of, well, you don't, he never takes the kids to the doctor's appointment, right? And if someone was to say to me, and this didn't really happen, I'm just using this as an example. I mean, if someone's like, well, you don't, she has to do everything, and you never take the kids to any of the medical appointments, I'd be like, I literally, last week took the kids to their therapy appointment. I send the billing every month that she owes me money because I'm taking them. I'm not sure where you're getting your information, but I'm, it isn't true, right? And then that's it. You don't necessarily get in there and, that lying piece of crap, you don't do that. You just calmly and with facts. That's when you talk, you're using your words, I guess, to back up what your actions are. And typically when that gets into that, then you can start to get these people to understand that their perception of reality and what they think isn't really, realistic. Okay, another example I'll give you, and this one did actually happen. It was early on, and the ex was I think anticipating getting full custody, was planning on moving into a nearby town and moving the kids out of school. And there was a surrogate or a flying monkey who was engaging with me, and she was saying, oh, she wouldn't do that. This is the best school, the school that the kids were in. I mean, this is known as the best school in the area. There's no way she would do that. That would just be silly. Now, all I did in that conversation is I mentioned what was going on, and I just waited. And what ultimately happened in that situation, because think about it, right? They're interacting. That flying monkey is also caught up in that same illusion that you had of your ex, and buying into that same, that false narrative. And they see the mask, right? They haven't seen the mask slip. In this particular situation, a few days later, she had an opportunity to talk to the ex. She brought it up in conversation, and she just assumed that it was going to be that of course it wouldn't be, that what I had mentioned wasn't going to be true. And the ex went off on her, completely started yelling at her, from the version I got of the story, and completely, the mask ripped off and went into a narcissistic rage because she was questioning what she was trying to do. And I don't even think that the ex had actually told her what was going on. I had mentioned it because I heard about it through the grapevine, and she didn't believe it and brought it up. And I heard a few days after that, and the person came back to me and was like, "Oh my God, this is what happened. I brought that up." And and she didn't say narcissistic rage, but she went off on me, and it was really bizarre. And then she goes, the next day I saw her, it was like nothing ever happened. It was like the conversation never even happened. And so my point on this is, if you're dealing with these people, you have to deal with them basically the same way. Okay, the big difference is with the flying monkeys and the surrogates, they're not really, the narcissist, nor the target of all this. I mean, you're the target, but so they have the ability to where you can actually reason with them and talk to them, because they're not, emotionally invested in this whole fight. So I hope that covers, gives you some ideas on, my perspective on flying monkeys and how to deal with them. Just when you look at this, just kind of think about that, the whole fact that it's, your rational response versus an emotional response. These surrogates are basically attacking you with the same smear campaign that your ex is using, so you don't want to fall into the same type of reaction where you get mad or you engage with it in an inappropriate way. You want to remain calm. You want to remain rational. You don't want to let your emotions take over on you. You want to keep control of your emotional state. And if that doesn't work, you stay away from those people. You basically go no contact or gray rock the surrogates and the flying monkeys. If it gets to the point where they are impacting your work or your livelihood in some way, then obviously you have to engage with it a little more directly, but still, it's along the same lines. Okay, so on that, I hope that helps. If that didn't really cover the topic well enough, ask questions in the comments for clarifications. If you guys out there have some additional ways how you've dealt with the flying monkeys in your life and the surrogates in your life, please put that below, because I think that'll be really helpful, because there have been some private questions and some public questions specifically about this, and I think mainly it's about how to deal with the flying monkeys and the surrogates in the course of all of this. If the video means anything to you, give it a thumbs up. If the channel's helping you, please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.